Look, as long as we don't get called the Crypt Keeper, it's fine. To be honest with you, like, I really don't care.
Being
I'm
called ma'am or lady.
I'm old, it's cold, I'm gonna grow mold.
Hi, Karla.
Hi, how are you?
I'm
Happy New
good.
Year
Happy New Year
to you and to our listeners. I hope you
to
guys
all of our
had a
listeners.
nice New Year celebration.
Yes, I know we were hoping to record last week on New Year's Day, and then
Mhm.
I caught the cold that's going around. At least it wasn't the flu. I didn't have any
Yeah.
fever, but it's just like snotty. I still feel like I've got a lot of congestion.
Did I tell you? I know I told somebody, but did I tell you that I saw that people were sticking garlic up their noses to relieve
Mm.
congestion? Look, I'm not going to do it because it turns out that that can actually be super duper irritating to your nostrils and
Oh my
make it
God,
worse.
yeah.
But I don't like the idea of neti pots or like any other stuff. So I was like, garlic is containable and I can like, I don't know, like put like a thread through it maybe so that it won't get inhaled. I
Oh
could
my
like,
God.
because obviously I'm also like crazy insane and I would think that like I would like accidentally inhale it up. So I thought to myself, if I put a thread through like the thickest part and
Yeah.
I maintain it taut, I won't be able to inhale them up and therefore kill myself.
So you didn't do it.
But then I didn't do it because I Googled it and it turns out that it's super duper irritating. But
My grandma does swear by garlic water.
ooh, like tea?
Yeah, like garlic tea, but like just I think just boiling garlic heads, is that what they're called? Like the individual pieces?
Is it teeth or cloves?
I guess so. Because yeah,
Okay.
you just boil it and let it seep, and then you just drink that. And obviously it's super garlicky, but it's supposed to be really, well, I don't know. According to my mom and my grandma, it's good for when you're sick. Hi, mom.
We we will sometimes like put it in honey and like eat it within honey. Yeah.
I think my grandma used to eat a lot of garlic for like health purposes.
Yeah.
And then I think
It's
it became the opposite. Then I think it became an issue for like her blood pressure.
really?
I think so. Maybe I'm remembering
Is
incorrectly, but I
garlic
feel
in
like that
high
was the
doses
sequence.
bad? Is garlic
I
in high doses bad?
think she was eating a lot of it, maybe. I don't know.
Was she stinky?
Maybe. I can't remember. I'll have to ask her all of these things. Hi.
This is what have you been reading?
What have
Welcome
you
to
been
the
reading? Welcome to
podcast.
What Have You Been Reading, where we talk about what you've been reading and the medicinal uses of garlic.
And not sticking them up your nose.
And not, yes, we do not endorse nor recommend
We do
sticking
not.
garlic up your nose.
But if you do, let us know your results.
You do make sure to put a string through it so you can pull it out.
I mean, I think that's genius.
I really want to go down the rabbit hole. Like, how are you going to dig like the hole in the garlic? It's got to be tiny so it doesn't break it
With a
apart.
needle. With a
Oh, with
needle.
a needle and then like a
I was
thread.
gonna, yeah, I was
Oh,
gonna
oh,
thread
oh.
it through
Yeah,
and then I was gonna do it for both of them so that I could keep the string, out,
yeah,
pull it so that it only went up a certain.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Look,
yeah.
this was all very scientific.
Before we get started on what we've been reading, since it is the new year, I wanted to talk a little bit, and I know this isn't something that you do, like reading goals and
Mhm.
tracking like what you read for the year. Like all over Bookstagram, everyone's reporting, the hundreds of books that they've read this year.
Jiminy Crickets.
I know. It's a
That's a
little
lot of
overwhelming.
books.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it the other day regarding you, for example.
Yeah.
Um, like you have kids, you're a wife,
Hmm.
you're a full-time employee, you have social stuff.
Listen, if we're going to talk about my priorities are misaligned in life, yes, you're
No,
correct.
I was gonna say, and you don't do audio as much as I do.
Yeah.
How?
Like I said, my priorities maybe are misaligned. No, I read, I don't do a ton of social media scrolling, which is why I
Oh, I
picked
do
up
do
reading a
that.
few years ago. Like
I do.
I don't scroll endlessly. I have been a little bit more now, I think in the last couple months, but and maybe that's why I didn't read as much as last year, but I
Mm.
decided to switch from the scrolling on social media to reading. So I find I'm line at the
Oh.
grocery store, instead of scrolling, I'm like reading a few pages of my book. I read like early in the morning when I wake up,
Mm.
at night when I'm going to bed, instead of scrolling, I'm reading.
Okay.
I did see the principal for the school at the assistant principal for the school that the boys go to, she posted like her reads, which she had like herself next to a tower of books that she read, and it was like taller than her, and it was like over 100 books. And to me, that was super impressive because yeah, not only she's also like a mom, she has two kids, she's an assistant, like and an assistant principal at a school, which I feel like you're working all the time in those kinds of jobs.
Yeah.
Um,
I wonder if okay. I wonder if she had to like forego showing the real amount of books that she read if she read some weirdo books.
Dude, no, I think they were all on there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So like did she reread did she read any weirdo books?
I don't think there were any, none that stood out to me. She has like Colleen Hoover, she had some Christina Loren, she had Emily Henry, all the heavy hitters, and then like historical fiction. She was actually very diverse genres. I
Mm,
was impressed.
all right.
Um, okay, so I did put a little poll on our Instagram on whether our listeners had reading goals for the year. 62% said yes, 38% said no.
Do you have a goal?
I don't set a number, no.
Does oh, does that mean that you have a different type of goal, or does that mean that you don't have a goal?
I don't really have a goal. I think it's just to read.
Okay.
I do keep track of how many I read. Like I keep them on an app called Bookmori. I kind of keep track of all of my books, and then I also have a spreadsheet where I keep track of them. And I do like to see that final number at the end of the year, but I don't necessarily have like I want to read X number of books.
Mm, okay.
Um, let's see, but other people shared their reading goal. Read more of what I'm in the mood for. Put away books that I'm not mentally there for yet. Was one on Instagram, which I thought was great. Shout out to Andy. Her reading goal is one book, and she already met it this year, just so that she can set a goal and she reaches it. And then the rest of the year is just reading for funsies, which I love. So go,
Oh,
Andy.
speaking of Andy, we still need to go get
Olympia.
spiritually cleaned.
Yeah. Yeah. If any listeners have recommendations on where to go, someone's backyard, front yard,
I want there to be a chicken,
there has to be a chicken. That's a
perhaps a
requirement.
perhaps a goat.
Okay. I think a
I
goat
want
is
it to
asking for a
be,
lot. A chicken, we'd probably have to go to LA.
I mean,
I mean,
no,
Orange
there's
County, I
like
don't think has chickens
it's
in their
not zoned for
backyards.
chickens anywhere.
I don't think so.
It's zoned for horses. There's horses.
I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole.
Anyway, there's horses. I know that
Rich
much.
people will allow horses, but not chickens, Karla. I know.
Well, anyway, um, fine. But I
Okay.
do want there.
We do need to figure that out.
Yeah, we do. Because I'm very curious about seeing how this all plays out for you guys.
Yeah, I'm a little spurred.
Are you gonna do it?
If we find a place, I think so.
Okay.
I'm scared to commit, honestly. Okay, someone else had 100 books as a reading goal. And
Yo, that's
then
more than one book per week. That's almost two books per week.
I did 100, 2023. I think I had like exactly 100.
Jiminy Crickets.
Mm.
I wonder how many books I've read. It can't
You
be a
probably
hundred.
read a lot.
It can't be 100 though.
No, this year I think I was at 67. I feel like you and I have generally plus
I
or
feel like
minus a few.
feel like I do less than you do. Like I usually do like two to your five.
No, that's not
Yes.
true.
No, it's totally true. I see your posts. It's like that little like picture that you put up and it's like 1,000 books on there and I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'm in the middle of my one book."
So maybe you're at like 55.
I don't know.
And then Misty's doing an A to Z challenge. Have you seen
Oh,
those?
like author or book
I think it's
title?
usually title,
Okay.
an A to Z title, which
That's
is always
fun.
fun to see. Sometimes people go like, "Oh, I need a book, that starts with a Z," and then
That's
everyone
hard.
chimes in. Hmm.
Okay. Does the like if the book title starts with a or a, depending on the next word, or
Does that
the,
count?
yeah, is that out?
I would use it to my advantage depending on what I need.
Hmm.
Do I need the A or do I need the second word?
Yeah, fair.
I would let that rule my
If you really
decision.
want to read a book, if as long as the letter exists within the title, I'd be like, look, there's a P in elephant, so I'm gonna read elephant.
It counts. No, I wouldn't go that far in bending
I
the
would.
rules.
Who's to say what the rules are when it's my challenge?
Um, yeah, I'm trying to think if I have any specific reading goals. I don't think I do. I think it's to enjoy what I'm reading. I think I'm in a place now with my ARCs, my advanced reader copies, where I can be a little bit more selective. So I'm excited about the ones I have this year. I feel like the last couple years I've been reading a lot of random ones that I just got accepted for because I was accepted for them. And I had to kind of
But
increase
you
my
were
numbers a
accepted
little
for
bit.
them because you wanted them, right? Like you signed up for that specific book.
You request them from the publisher, and then the publisher can either deny your request or accept it and send you an electronic copy. But they can deny it, and it's sometimes based on your statistics. So, like how many books I've read and how many reviews I've submitted. So, when I was super new, I feel like I was just accepting anything that they sent my way so
Mhm.
that I could kind of increase my stats a little bit. Um, and not all of them were great. Obviously, some of them are kind of whatever. So I'm excited this year to be a little bit more selective on what I request and what I get.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Depending on your reviews, like if you didn't like a book and you give an honest review about the ARC that you got,
Yeah.
does that make you a like does that make you an unwantable candidate to give more advanced reader
I don't
copies to?
I don't know. I think if my reviews were consistently negative, then maybe. I don't know how much work
Okay.
goes in on the publisher's end to like look at someone's past reviews and see what kind of reviews they're leaving. And I'd say most of my reviews are generally positive, even if they're not super high. I've had a couple bad ones and I've been honest about it. And I don't think I've had any negative repercussions, but it's hard to say like whether I've been denied or accepted based on my reviews or my stats, or I don't know enough about the inner workings on the back end to know how they
And then, like, I wonder
decide.
what the point is of that. Like, what's the point of giving you a book if it's already going to be published the way that it's done? Like, do they use your feedback to go back into editing a little bit?
No, so that was kind of something that I learned at the very beginning because I was finding typos and then I was like, oh my gosh, I have to tell them about all of these typos. And that's not really what they're looking for. At that point, by the time you submit your review, it's probably already printing
Yeah.
or they've already had someone else hopefully find all of those re-edits. It's more about promoting the book. So the hope, right, is that you
Um,
will then post to your social media and promote the book before it comes out and kind of create more of a buzz about the book.
got it. Got
Yeah.
it. Okay, cool. Okay. Well, that's
Sweet.
interesting. Yeah.
Well, Karla, what have you been reading?
Um, so I made a little note on the sheet that I'm kind of scatterbrained and I can't keep my mind on anything um that requires a lot of mental like pay, I can't pay
Concentration?
apparently I can't even form a sentence, Alex. I
Starting the year.
can't I can't focus on stuff that doesn't actually have a consequence. So
Yeah.
like I'll focus while I'm driving and I'll focus at work, but if it has no consequence, then I'm like, yeah. So, I've been kind of all over the place. It wasn't the case like at the very beginning after our first recording. So I did read, I think I finished two books,
Yeah.
but then like I've been all over the place. I started one, I'm kind of in the middle of one. I'm like two
Yeah.
pages into another one. I can't.
I
Like,
I also feel like I'm in the middle of a bunch of different books right now. And I think part of it, right, is like the audio thing now going to work. I
mhm.
have one that I'm listening to on audio. I have one that I'm reading on Kindle. I have like a paperback that I got for Christmas.
Yeah, it's all
And
over the
yeah,
place.
I'm kind of all over the place right now as well.
So let
But
me
what's
tell
one book
you.
that you finished?
So I finished, remember that I told you like a few months ago that I had started a book that was not for me, and it really wasn't.
Yeah.
I finished that one. Remember that it was Flock by Kate
Yes.
Stewart, the one
Uh-huh.
with all the red flags. Oh
Yeah.
my God, this book is so, it's so like if that book, okay, it's like if the red flag store was having a clearance sale.
You would get all it's
Then
like
that
five
book
for the
was
price of
like,
one.
that book like got up early. They were like, the doors open at 8. We have to be the
Open,
first
open,
ones
open,
there.
open.
Like there are so many red flags in this book, and like I feel like so badly for this girl in this book because it's like she's manipulated, gaslighted, disrespected, just like she's tossed around like a freaking rag doll,
Oh
okay?
no.
It's like, oh my God. What? So it's so if you enjoy a reading about men that like are literal poles with red flags
Yeah,
attached
yeah,
to them,
yeah.
you will like this book. If you
Awesome.
if you like reading about 19-year-old girls that you just want to take their hand and tell them, "Oh no, honey, no.
Oh, you want to be their mama and tell them.
I don't want to be anybody's mom, but I would definitely be her friend." Tell her, no, girl. I'd be like, let's go get a coffee and talk about this.
Oh,
Look, there's parts of it like where I'm like, look, it's fine if she's doing these things because she wants to do these things,
yeah.
but she's getting like okay, basically this is not a spoiler because I think that people know about this that go into reading this book. And as you know, I don't read blurbs. So
You just dive
um
in.
I just dive in.
Yeah.
She's a rich man's neglected daughter
Okay.
who has not grown up rich. And that was one of the things that like I just
Mm.
don't understand. Like it kind of sounds like they were not okay in terms of like anything, like living situation, food situation. It seems like there was a lot of scarcity. And it's like, this man is not just like a little bit rich, he has like multiple factories and seems to be like uber rich. So
So
I
then
don't
why were they living
understand.
that way?
Yeah, I don't understand like how the custody agreement or like the child support agreement turned out to be like literally nothing. Like it sounds like it's literally nothing.
Yeah.
So, and the mom seems to be kind of like
Oh, so the
emotional.
girl wasn't living with the dad. Sorry, I think I missed that part.
No, not at all. Mm-mm. I don't think they even live in the same state.
Okay.
So the mom, for some reason, now needs to be taken care of. And
That's fucked
the
up though, too. Like, even okay. Even if the child support says you only have to pay $1, if you know your daughter is
Yeah,
struggling, wouldn't
yeah,
you want to provide for them anyway?
I don't get it. And
Mm.
she's the only daughter, so it's not like he's like lavishing other children or like he
Be
got
like a
married.
Scrooge, like just a curmudgeon rich person.
Well, apparently he's like not the best guy like business wise either, like in his businesses. So it seems like he's kind of just like an overall dick, right?
Mm.
But
Love those.
even then. Like that's the person who's going to get the inheritance. So don't you want them to be prepared and like know how to step into these roles and like
Mm-hmm.
know how to deal with money? I don't know. Anyway, so like she's grown up very poor and now the mom needs help. So now she's gone to live with him for a year. Like this is the setup. She goes to live with him for a year and he's basically going to give her X amount of money at the end of this year. Like,
Okay.
and then like you think, okay, so that means that he's trying to rebuild their relationship. And it's like, no,
Uh,
he's living in an apartment somewhere else, comes to dinner, doesn't come to dinner. I look, I'm at a loss. So anyway, she's like this girl who's like super it very clearly has daddy issues and
mm-hmm.
then like bad ones. And then she gets mixed up with this dude who's like just it annoys me. It
Yeah.
annoys me. He's like um he withhold information, he gives her little like crumbs of information and she has to like I just it
Mm,
disgusts me.
yeah.
It's like it's not fun. It's not fun. It doesn't sound fun to me. And like everything has to be her choice. And it's like, yeah, it's her choice because you're like pulling her
Stringing her
in.
along. Yeah.
Yeah, you're making her make these specific decisions through the way that you're treating her. And then it turns out like look, she ends up hooking up with two guys. And
Okay.
apparently this is also something that you know going in. You're just like waiting for it as a reader,
So no
but
spoilers.
no spoilers.
Okay.
There's other stuff in the book that's like, what is this?
You feel like whiplash just going back and forth?
Little bit, little
Yeah.
bit. I don't understand. Like, what? Why is this happening this way? So anyway, it was in terms of jalapeno poppers, I would say it's at a 3.5 jalapeno popper.
For you, which means for me, it's probably higher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because and I would say that if I did a side by side comparison of poppers, the jalapeno poppers in um book 5 of
The
court
Akatar?
books. Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Of the court books, a court
Court
of
of
silver
Thorns and
flames.
Roses.
Yeah. The court of silver flames book was a
Yeah.
3, remember? But that all those poppers in there seemed nicer. They were
Oh,
nicer poppers.
yeah.
Whereas the poppers in this other book, Flock, are not
They're
nice
mean
poppers.
poppers. They're mean, mean jalapeno poppers.
And I don't, you know what? I'm
I
realizing
don't like
one,
mean jalapeno poppers. I don't
I don't
like,
either. And it's not like
yeah.
they're like beating her or anything. It's nothing like that. It's just that like the poppers in this book seem deceptive poppers.
Did you ever read the gray, the whatever gray books?
No, I thought I could, and then I was like, this is some bullshit. I can't.
I
I
know I
can't do
haven't read
it.
any of them.
I don't have like it look,
Whatever
I'm
floats your boat. It's
what
okay. It's fine.
what was it? It's
It's
fine.
fine.
I actually think that, you know, a little bit of weird shit in there is actually pretty fun.
Yeah.
But it has to be done with like both people like equally informed, you
And
know?
equal power levels.
Yeah, even if you're going to be doing little power plays, like you both have to be able to like have the mental um the information that's necessary to be making good decisions for
Yeah.
yourself while you're getting fucked 3 ways, you know, while you're getting fucked like 3 ways from Sunday. So I think that you can do a lot of stuff that's like, you know, that is weird to other people, and
Yeah.
I have no issue with that it if it doesn't seem like you're being taken advantage of.
Right.
I don't like that. So I wasn't a fan of the book. And
Yeah.
guess what?
What?
Guess what?
What?
It's not a standalone.
You don't have to read it, Karla.
I
You
might
don't have
not.
to do it.
But this hoe, I'm like, what's gonna happen
Don't
to you,
do it.
girl? Because the end sucked for her.
Don't do it, Karla. Don't read the next one.
I'll probably take that under advisement. Then
Did
I
you
was oh
already
no
start
wait.
it?
No wait. So that's wait. Okay, so I
What?
gave the Popper rating. In
Yeah.
terms of book rating, I would say remember when you were like, should we rate books? And I was like, no, I'm not going to. I'm going to.
Yeah.
I would say
Okay.
that this was like a 2 star
Wow.
because I don't it was fine the way it was written,
Yeah.
but I really didn't like the I feel like this girl just got emotionally abused throughout the book and I didn't like it. So, what have you been reading?
I have been reading. What have I been reading? So I finished my holiday reads. It's been a few weeks, but I think I had one more. Love Holly by Emily Stone. British, takes place in London. It's this girl named Holly, and she's on her way somewhere with her sister. And they stop at a coffee shop, and she meets this guy, and they're admiring this piece of art, and she's wanting to be an artist. So she meets this guy, and then as soon as she leaves the coffee shop, and this happens at the very beginning, so no spoilers, but her and her sister get into this a car accident.
Okay.
Her sister was pregnant and lost the baby and then
Oh.
had trouble getting pregnant. So it was a huge deal. And then the sister like refused to talk to her. And then it was like years.
Wait, why? Did she blame her?
She did, yes. Because the Holly was driving and they were like arguing over her phone or something, and she wasn't paying attention when someone like cut them off or something. So it wasn't technically her fault, but I mean, she also was distracted. And then she had felt this really strong spark with the guy from the coffee shop and he had given her his number, but she lost it like in the milieu, is that a word? After the
It is.
accident. So then the book follows her. She ends up through a random process, ends up meeting the guy's mom and having a relationship with the guy's mom. No, the grandma, sorry, the guy's grandmother, and
Okay.
becoming kind of the grandmother's friend. And then she's trying to fix this rift between the guy and his grandmother. But she's also like this weird third party because she also likes him, but she's also trying to fix his relationship with this grandma. Yada yada yada, you know. But it was cute. And then it starts off around Christmas time is when that initial accident happens, and it kind of keeps cycling back through like different Christmases and what her favorite Christmas was and why it was her favorite Christmas. And then she ends up meeting the guy again and um trying to fix that relationship with his grandma. And there was another accident involved in that, which I think I've mentioned this before. It wasn't a story within a story, but it was almost like too many coincidences,
Mm.
in a book. So like she had this traumatic experience, he had a very similar traumatic experience. So they're like going through this process and learning together and healing together, which was cute, but it was also, I think, a far stretch of the imagination.
Hmm.
I mean, it's a cutesy romance, so I guess everything is a far stretch, but it was cute. I think it was a perfect rounding out for my holiday reads.
Okay.
So that was Love Holly by Emily Stone.
That's not your other author, Emily Henry. No. Is there an
Correct.
Emily Henry?
Emily Henry, yes, is a different
Okay.
author to my romance scale.
Okay. Okay. Guess what else I did?
What else did you do?
I was like going through my app, finding what to read, and I
Yeah,
read one of your Christina Laurens. Wait,
I
what was
saw
it?
that on the sheet.
It's still
No,
not for
not
me.
for you.
It's not for me.
I don't think I've read that one. Which one was it?
So it was I think it was the
True Love
True Love
Experience?
Experiment.
Experiment. You wrote experience, but I think it's a true love experiment.
It's either that or the experience because it becomes a show. So I don't remember. Maybe I mistyped
Okay.
it or maybe I don't know. So
Hmm.
I found out afterward that it's a second part to a
Oh
story.
my gosh, really?
So I guess that originally the story was based on the friend who's a character in this story now,
Yeah.
but the previous book had been about her. What are you gonna
I think
do?
I've read a ton of Christina and Lauren. I've read maybe three. I think
Oh,
Love and Other Words is maybe one of my favorite books. Sorry for the typing. Yeah, Love and Other Words.
I don't know what the first one was. I don't know if it's maybe that one. But anywho, the story like in this book, the friend is married already.
Okay.
And she's married to like a guy who developed an app for finding a compatible match through your DNA.
Oh,
So
wow.
that okay, so that's not a thing that you read. Okay.
No,
So like
no.
that is the first book to the book that I read.
Got it.
So this book centers around this one girl who this one lady, this one woman who I remember that you don't like Lady.
I just don't like people calling me lady. I don't want people
Why?
calling me lady because I don't feel, I mean, I know I'm 41 and I am a lady, but I am in denial that
Okay,
I am
so
of the age to be called a lady. Hey, lady.
I've been called ma'am
I know it hurts my
since I
feelings, but
was in my
it's,
30s.
I mean, it's totally, it's fine, right? Like
And
they're
it's
in,
fine.
they're in their right to call me ma'am and lady because they're right. I am of the age for that. I'm just personally in denial that I am.
Look, as long as we don't get called the crypt keeper, it's fine.
Yeah.
It is, I really don't care. To be honest with you, like I really don't care.
Being
I'm
called ma'am or lady.
I'm old, it's cold, I'm gonna grow mold.
Okay.
I don't care. Um so anyway, the book was it was cute, I guess. But I just these books just I don't connect with them. I don't
Yeah,
connect. I think that maybe am I just not cute?
that has nothing to do
I
with
guess I'm
it.
not a cutesy person. I don't know. And that
But
bothers
you know
me.
what, Carla? It's okay.
I want to be a cutesy person, damn it.
There was someone at work, as people at my work find out that I like reading, and then I have to be like, yeah, to like a bit of an embarrassing degree, I like reading and I like books. And someone was like, oh, I just can't like seem to fit, like I can't seem to finish a book. I keep trying and it's just not working. And I go, well, yeah, I think you should definitely keep looking for something that you like, but
That
also maybe you're just not
grabs
a
you.
reader. And like, that's okay. You know, like maybe you just don't like to read. And they're like, well, I don't want to be a person that doesn't like to read. Well, I didn't want to be a person that didn't like sushi, but I don't like sushi. I tried really hard to like sushi and I just don't like sushi.
That's not the same though, because I think that reading is something that you can train yourself to enjoy because you get a lot from reading. Even if you're reading something
But like,
shit,
not everybody has to love reading or like enjoy reading books.
fine. All I'm saying is, in
I think that
terms,
I think there's benefits to everybody reading, and like I do think there will be a genre for each person, right? If you try hard enough to find what you're
yeah,
into. But I also felt compelled to tell that person it's okay if you don't.
you know what you should tell that person? Get into a short story book.
Oh, that's a very good idea.
Yeah,
I am going to recommend that to them.
yeah, there you go.
Maybe I should pair it with a good short story recommendation.
Boom, pow, the sound of my heart
Mm,
and the beat goes on. I don't know the song. So,
short
anywho,
stories.
yeah, I the point is that I want to be like I don't know, like a just a softer, gentler, different, soft-spoken human being.
You think that's who you are, though, Carla?
No, I'm an ass. I'm a grating, biting.
Okay, look, I think maybe instead of picking random romance books, if you want to read that genre, maybe you can be more strategic to
But I
your.
don't read blurbs. The only reason that I
I
got
know,
this
so let me
book,
Okay, look. Love in Other Words was one of my favorite from Christina Lauren,
the only
and I'll
reason
try to
I
have
picked
some
this
other
book is
ones.
because like I was scrolling and I saw it. It was colorful, and of course, anything shiny, I will
Squirrel.
look at. So I looked at it and I saw the author, and I was like, "Oh, Alex said that author one time, and she was fine with it, except that they had a name for their dick. I don't remember what the name was. So
That's right.
I was like, I'll read that because Alex has said they're okay.
But what was that book that you couldn't read for forever, and then you read the another book by that same author and you loved it?
Oh, Diavola. Oh
Yeah.
man, I really
See?
liked Loot. I really did. What else have you been reading, Alex?
Oh, so I loved my book club pick and nobody read it and I couldn't talk about it with anybody. There
Sorry.
are Rivers in the Sky by Elif Shafak, I think is how you say it.
Yes.
Yes. Have you read any of it?
No, Alex, I just told you that I can't pay attention to
I know,
anything.
I just wanted to make sure.
You're like, I just
Um,
wanted you to feel bad about it again. Two
I'm just
weekends in a row.
I'm just there were so many. I think this book has so many great discussion topics I really wanted to talk to someone about. I literally showed up to book club and not a single person there had read it. But it's also, I mean, it was December and the holidays, and it's a big book. It was long and it
Yeah.
was not light reading by any means.
I will say that the part that I did read was very interesting and it was
The opening.
engaging. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I got to like the third story part of it because you know
Yeah.
how it's different. It follows different people throughout
Yeah.
history and not history, throughout time.
Uh,
Um,
hmm.
because it's not historical, right? Although you did say
It
that you
is.
did look some stuff up and
I
it did
would put this
match.
in the historical fiction category.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, I was in the third person that it was following.
Yeah.
So, I liked what I read, and I do plan on going back to it when my brain is a little bit less, um, all over the
Jumpy.
place. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I read that. That was a big one for December. And I really enjoyed it. I think the writing was really great. I've read The Island of Missing Trees by that same author, and I really enjoyed that. And it even had a little bit of a reference to it. So in The Island of Missing Trees, this couple takes a cutting of a tree from the place that they're originally from when they emigrate, and then they plant it in their new home.
Is that the one that you were talking about, the Greek person?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and in this book, this family is getting displaced from somewhere that's going to become a dam, so they're going to flood it, so everyone has to move out. And that was something that I looked up, and it's based on an actual location in a real dam that was built, and
Oh,
like a lot of people were displaced and history kind of buried. There's all of this stuff that was buried underground that now no one will ever be able to access. But and the grandma has a line where she says, "Don't worry, we'll take a cutting of this of our I think it's the olive trees, maybe. I forget what kind of tree it was, but she's like, "We'll take a cutting of it and we'll plant it, in our new home," which I feel like was kind of a tip of the hat to the other book.
so during that recording, you did not remember the name of the book. I don't think so. So if anybody was interested in finding out the name of the book of the podcast episode where we have Leigh as a co-host,
Yeah,
that was discussed in that episode, and here's the name of the book for
The
anybody
Island of
that
Missing
has been,
Trees.
yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
But it was really good. I
Like,
feel like this book had such a wide range of topics. I mean, it talks about climate change, it talks about appropriation of artifacts, right? So other countries coming in and excavating and digging, and then they take all of these things to put them in a museum somewhere. And
Oh,
whether,
yeah, like England having all this stuff from different
yes.
cultures. Yeah.
So I feel like that was a really great discussion topic. And it mentions in the right, even one of the arguments for that, right, is that museums can better protect these things and maybe the people in the countries that they're originally from, maybe protect them from wars or destruction or whatever. But then even the museums themselves, when they're curating what they're going to keep and what they're not going to keep, they're kind of deciding, right, what parts of history will remain and be protected and what parts of history will be forgotten as they're curating and deciding what's worth keeping and what's not worth keeping. I thought that was
Yeah.
really interesting. In later part of the book, it gets into ISIS in like 20, I think it was like the God, what was the timeline? Maybe like 2008-ish, so
Okay.
after the towers and when ISIS was really taking over certain areas. And those parts were pretty graphic and hard, but it reminded me kind of the Underground Railroad, where you almost have a social responsibility to read these things and know about them, even though we're not directly affected by them. I think it's still super important to know that these things have happened and in some places, right, are still happening.
Hmm.
Um, But yeah, and it talked about immigration. So there's one family in England, right? And the character's talking about how, as an immigrant, you don't have an option to not be successful, right? You survived all of the things that your parents maybe went through. So now you have this responsibility on your shoulders to be something great because of what they went through to get you to safety and the social responsibility that comes with being an immigrant in another country, and how there's this great line from her uncle or about her uncle who like went to England when he was a child. And she's like, he supports an English football team. He speaks English. He dreams in English. He has, English business contacts and all of these things, but he's still seen as an immigrant. Like he'll never not be seen as an other because of how he looks and where he came from, which
Okay.
I thought was really interesting as well. So I don't know. I think it was a beautiful book that just talked on so many, I think, important and relevant topics.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna read it. I promise you.
I'm not trying to pressure you, but I would love to converse with you. Or if anyone else reads it out there and wants to message me, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Oh yeah, let us both know because I am interested in the book.
Carla, you have some other books on here. Book 4 of The Dark Tower,
Oh yeah,
Sunny,
so I
A
finished
Sunny
book
Place for
three.
Shady People.
Yeah. I finished book 3 of The Dark Tower and I started book 4. Still doing it in Spanish. And book 4, I'm excited to get through book 4 because we are going into book 5 and book 5 is my favorite.
Yay!
So I'm just kind of like going through the motions right now because I get it. Susan Delgado is super important, and so is Cuthbert and Elaine, and all of the stuff that happened in the past, and whatever.
Yeah,
But it's like, get out of the way, because
get out the
we need to
way.
get to book 5 anyway. So yeah, I'm in book 4, and then I started reading A Shady Place for Sunny People. And that's a short story book, and it is by an Argentinian, I think, because
Ooh,
because I think at least I'm in the third story right now. And the first story was in Argentina. There's a lot of nationalism, racism,
mm,
um, fear, a community acting out of fear, and kind of being won over by their baser parts of of their personalities, and
yeah.
um it's about ghosts, but it mostly is about that community just kind of like reacting to what's happening socially and politically around them,
Yeah.
and and being jerks out of fear for what's going on around them. Um and I kind of knew this like in a peripheral way because my mom keeps talking about Argentina and their president, who's not so new anymore. I think he's been around for like a year and a half or so,
Yeah.
and how she's just like, this man is like a menace. So anyway,
Well, we have friends who are Argentinian and they were saying it's pretty
yeah,
early.
yeah. And apparently it's not good down there right now for
Mhm.
the majority of people, I think. And so they're reacting to that, and I guess that there is some sort of immigration happening within that area. And and um it just seems like people always forget that, the past also sucked.
Hmm.
And just because you're romanticizing it now doesn't mean that people back then weren't their own version of shitty people.
Yeah.
Because like in there is one part where they're saying that the immigration that happened before, when it was being done by Europeans, that at least they were, decent people.
Yeah.
And then that the person who was like the main character of that story was like, they seem to forget that the people that immigrated here from Europe before were criminals. It's
Yeah.
like, so it just kind of seems like everybody just wants to think um that the past is better, and that whatever they're dealing with now is just groups of people that are not worthy of being there. And it's just like, it's a mess. So, anyway, that was interesting. The second story was about a girl who travels to LA to, she's a journalist,
Uh-huh.
and she is trying to dive a little bit deeper into the death of Eliza Lamb, which is something that happened. And I wasn't sure how I felt about that story being used within this story. And I didn't like that it is sensationalized, like in real life. It is sensationalized. Like, her death has been one of those mystery deaths that happened. And uh do you know about this one where she died at the Cecil Hotel, and she died in the water tank for the hotel?
No.
So this actually happened to this poor girl, and there's like footage of her just being like acting a little bit erratic in the elevator and stuff. And like, this character goes, and she is kind of joining in with a group that holds seances.
Hmm.
And she's dealing with her own stuff of like what happened to her the last time she was in LA, and her boyfriend's death during that time. But I if as I get older, I start I'm starting to not like the murder mystery part of, like, those podcasts
Yeah.
and those YouTube videos with like girls putting on makeup as they tell you like about how somebody died horribly. Like,
No.
all of that is super duper interesting to me. I love that shit. But at the same time, I wish it wasn't real stuff. Like, if it could
Yeah.
just be fiction, that would be fine. It just kind of sucks to me that like we're listening in on the real horror that people have lived and how they died, and sometimes how it has no end to it. There's no obviously they died knowing who killed them, most likely, but
Yeah.
there's no ending for us. Like we just hear it as this like sensational story of like something horrible that happened to somebody else. And as I get older, I feel like I'm starting to not like that. So,
We had an interesting there was like two young men that disappeared. I think it was Christmas Eve, like
mhm.
unrelated people, but they were both missing. and they didn't find them. So that was like on the 24th. And they didn't find them
This
until,
year?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
very recent. And then I think it was, what's maybe it was like the third or the fourth that they found a vehicle that had like gone off the road and it just so happened to land in like this tiny creek, but the car submerged and they drowned and they were both in there. Like one was a driver, like an Uber driver, and then the other one was um the guest or whatever. But then I was reading on Facebook, everyone's like commenting back and forth, and then feels like everyone's trying to be a detective, like
yeah.
like, well, how is there water there? And then someone posts a picture of the water, and then they're talking about like how deep the water is and can that really happen? And what were they doing there together? And does anyone know this? And does anyone know that?
Well, I mean, if it's the
Yeah, it
Uber
just feels
driver
wrong.
and the
Like,
writer,
it's
that's
none of
why
your
they're there
business.
together.
Yeah, but it's also like everyone's trying to be a detective and everyone's trying to figure out like the details of what happened. I'm like, two people died, and you just want to know like
The
all of the ins and
nitty-gritty
outs
of
of how
it.
it happened. I don't know.
Yeah.
It felt wrong, but I'm
Well,
also
that's what I'm
not a
saying. It
crime
feels icky,
person.
right? It's starting to feel icky.
Hmm.
And here's the shitty thing about me. I'm still gonna listen to those stories when I come across
Yeah.
them, but I'm gonna
I'm
feel
so,
icky about it.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Anyway, so thirsty. It's a vampire novel
Ooh,
that I just started listening to on Spotify because I was like, hold up, I am paying for Spotify and I'm not using the Spotify
ooh,
bonus.
that's right.
So I kind of
It's our
went
money's
down,
worth.
yeah. So I kind of went down a late 90s, early 20s like music listen to, and um while I was looking for something else to listen to, I saw these books listed and I was like, okay, bap. So
You are ruthless.
I'm gonna listen to that. So um it's a vampire novel. So like basically
So,
this
so thirsty means they want all the blood.
they want all of the blood. I
All
want
the
to
blood.
drink your blood. Ah. So so basically there's this one woman who is in her mid 30s. It's gonna be her birthday. Her husband is a philanderer. And
Mm.
so he gets her like a trip with her best friend instead of a trip with him because he's
Yeah,
like, go have fun with your best friend
because
because
I'm gonna be doing this other thing back here.
yeah, he's gonna be celebrating her birthday with another woman.
What a jerk.
So he sends her off with her friend. Her friend is like a carefree wild spirit, and she meets some guy at a bar the first night that they're on their trip,
Hmm.
and she accepts to go out with him the next night along with her because he tells her that there's going to be some party at his house that he bought, and he picks her up along with a friend. It's snowing. um the birthday person forgets her cell phone or doesn't bring her cell phone, I don't know. Anyway, so here's the problem. First red flag, the guy's breath is sour. He's
Oh.
very good looking, has a very badass car, um, is like handsome, blah blah blah, yada yada, has like a very clear Transylvanian accent. Um, but his breath is sour, right? So it's like
Mm-hmm.
what's going on in there? So then
Ew.
red flag number one. And
Mm.
here's the thing. This is not a spoiler because it says it right on the cover. A vampire novel. So she goes off with this other dude um to not cheat on her husband, right? But she wants to. She wants to. She
You
sees
want,
this
yeah.
greasy haired fucker and she's like, that's what I want.
Oh,
That's what I
okay.
want to put my hands in.
Yeah.
So he's apparently handsome, but like he's got greasy hair, which is red flag number two.
Yeah.
Two.
Yeah.
Well, actually, red flag number two would have been that he closed the gate behind him when they were going into his house. So, like, so they can't leave the grounds. And
Mhm.
red flag number three would be the greasy hair. Um, he tells her that he's 500 years old, 500 plus years old, and she's like,
Okay.
right? And then basically now, right now, I'm at the part where she's freaked out, the friend is freaked out, even though the friend not even though. So the friend has been partaking in like a vampire orgy.
Okay.
There's no poppers, by the way.
No poppers.
So the friend has been participating in a vampire orgy kind of deal. And the birthday girl was like, holy shit, we need to get out of here. And the friend is like, so, so right now that's where I'm at. It's perfect for my brain because I
Yeah.
have I have absolutely no brain activity happening when I'm listening to
Yeah.
this book. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Cool. Back to vampires.
Back to vampires.
Hmm. I am currently listening to, I haven't finished these, but I'll end with these. My audiobook is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern,
Okay.
who's the same author as The Midnight Light, no, The Midnight Circus? The Midnight Circus. That was a book club pick of ours, which from Carla's face, I don't think she read. But it's like magical realism, so like an
You like those.
underground. What's that?
You like magical realism.
I do. And I am liking this one. There's a lot of short stories interspersed in a actual plot line, right? It's like it keeps going back to a character and where he is going through and his storyline, but in between it has like these random little stories that obviously intersect and have something to do with the overall plot, but I'm still not sure how those are going to work out.
Okay.
So they're interesting little stories that in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, how does this tie into the big storyline?
But what is the, I guess
What's the
you do read the
storyline?
blurbs. Yeah. So what is the deal with this book?
So there's one main guy. I'm going to name him Zach. I don't think that's his name, but I'm just going to name him Zach. It might be Zach. Um, and he's going to school. He's like pursuing his master's degree and whatever, but he really likes reading. He finds this random
Wait,
book.
you are actively reading this book and you're like, I'm just gonna name him Zach.
Okay, I think it's Zach Efron. His major is in like multimedia arts or something, but he talks about how he doesn't love it. He really likes reading. And he goes to the library on campus every day and just checks out books and reads them. And he finds this one book that looks very interesting. The cover is very unique and you can tell it's really old. And he goes to try to check it out, and there's no barcode. It's not like in the system at all. So they add a barcode to it and let him check it out. And then he reads it. And it's a bunch of short stories that kind of match the short stories that get told throughout the book. But one of them is his story from when he was a kid. It's like something that happened to him. So he's like, oh shit, this is like, this story is my life. And how did this get into a book? And how did this book get into the library? And then he ends up like being followed by people and then getting kidnapped and then taking into what's called the Starless Sea in this underground like library and world of books. So there's keepers and there's guardians and there's one other thing. But it's like this whole underground world of like, I don't know, like a library and keeping certain books safe, but there's two different factions and they're like going against each other.
So is this like is this book like the book of life? The book like the book where people can find it. Was he not supposed to have access to this book? Is this book like something that can maybe predict what's going to happen?
I don't know. But
Come
two
on,
different groups from
tell
this
me.
underground thing, they're fighting over this book and trying to get to this book. And And there's doors involved, like you can paint a door that leads you into the Starless Sea, and then you go underground and
Like Pan's Labyrinth?
kind of, but not creepy like that. It's like it's nice. So like he ends up spending the night there. They give him a room and it's almost like a hotel. He gets to check in and everything that you need is there. So there's like a little dummy waiter, right, that he puts in his dirty clothes and then it comes back almost immediately and it's clean, or he like puts in what he wants for breakfast and then magically the food is there that he wants.
I know that you just said that it's not creepy, but that's just making me think you can check out any time you like, but you can never leave. Do 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 do. Do 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 do
Yep,
do
yep, yep.
do 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 do.
Um, but yeah, I'm into it. It has my attention. I am
Okay.
hooked and I'm excited to see where it goes. And then the physical book that I'm reading, not physical, but the Kindle book that I'm reading is Anita and Monte Laughs Last. And this one's by Xochitl Ramirez, Xochitl Gonzalez, who's the same author as Olga Dice Dreaming, which I talked
Okay.
about before and I loved. So I'm super excited about this one as well. I'm just getting started on it.
Olga Dice Dreaming has been popping up on my app
Ooh,
as an option to read it like as an ebook or to
yeah.
listen to it as an audio. And
Ooh,
I've pondered it. I've eyeballed it.
yeah. I like that one a lot. So this one's interesting. It's following two different characters, and I can't figure out yet the relation if it's like the granddaughter and the grandma, or if they're other kinds of relatives, or if they're unrelated. But there's
Okay.
one storyline in like the 1980s, and then one in like the late 1990s. But I know it's not the mom and daughter, so I don't know. But they're both involved in like the art world.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I don't think I know enough to really talk too much about it yet, but I'm
Okay.
intrigued by it. And that's what I'm currently reading. So I'll hopefully have more to say about that one on our next episode.
Fair. Okay, guys. Well, thank you
Well,
for listening in.
happy reading.
Yes, please let us know what you've been reading. Let us know
Oh,
again
look,
about yeah.
I'm wearing my podcast shirt.
Guess what? I almost wore mine, but then I've been looking for this one for like months, and it
Yeah.
turned out that it was in my emergency backpack, and I just found it, and I was like, I'm gonna wear this shirt. Um, so I didn't wear my podcast shirt, but I was going to. We could have
Um,
been twinsies.
dear listeners, there are only two of these in the
Yeah.
world. If you want one because you love us so much, let us know. We'll see if we can make it happen.
Yes. I want another one in a different color.
Okay.
Yeah. I have to look at the colors though. Do I
Yeah.
want another one? Okay, look, this is not the time to have this like mental. Anyway, um
Well,
yeah,
happy
let us
reading,
know what you've been
everybody. Thanks
reading.
for listening.
Thank you, and happy new year, and we hope that you have a 2025 full of books and that you share them with us so that we can pick
Yes.
something out to read for ourselves
Whether
from
you
your
have
list of
reading
books.
goals or not.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right. Happy reading.
Bye.
Bye.